Welcome to the Powerful Women Off the Record podcast. This is Elizabeth Veely, your host. And today I am sharing my reflections on my conversation with Andrea Levere. So Andrea is the founder and CEO of Capitalize Good. That's like her most recent amazing thing. She's a whole career of incredible, impactful work. She's also a social enterprise fellow at the Yale School of Management, visiting scholar at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and an Aspen Institute Ascend Fellow alumni. She is an amazing woman. My conversation with her was so inspirational. I hope you took the time to listen to it. So, Andrea's been a force of change for decades now, and still has this energy and this fire and this light in her eyes, where she just still has so much. There's so much more to come for her, and even after everything she's accomplished. And so, I'm always curious what forms a powerful woman. And I was blessed to spend time with Andrea, sitting on a board together and watching her in action, and knowing I wanted to get to know her more and learn more from her. And so we start the conversation with, it just makes me crack up. She knew that she knew she was an activist at a very young age. I'm talking at 11 years old. And her parents were in that space also, but she, was bit by the bug, and she knew her purpose at a very young age. And in her own words, that is a blessing. I would absolutely agree. When you are blessed with the knowledge of your purpose at a young age, and not everybody is, and it's fine if you're not. We're telling all different kinds of stories on this podcast. So she knows she's an activist. She's already getting involved with protests of the Vietnam War at the age of 11. And oh my gosh, there's just so many lines to this story. And then she talks about how she became an advocate for her school in I think it was the age of 13 or something, where she was advocating so the girls in school could wear pants. And I mean, that just kind of goes to show you how far we've come, and that it really wasn't that long ago that these things were still going on. So for all women listening, stay alert, stay diligent. A lot of these rights we have not had for that long. And so let's not take them for granted. And also let's make sure we are protecting them. But so she's... I can totally see her doing this, where she had to testify in front of the school board so that girls could wear pants at a young age. And I think that is so beautiful. And there's two things that I start thinking about when I hear that. One, she said how even though her mom was an activist, she was more of a political activist, and Andrea was going down a different path, and so it wasn't necessarily that her mother loved that Andrea was protesting women in pants at the time. Maybe that wasn't her cup of tea. She was going down a different path. So typical daughter, right? I think about that, and I'm a daughter, but typical daughter, like challenging a mother. I just had to laugh, because her mother's probably like so excited that her daughter Andrea is following in her steps, and then it's like, oh, okay, she's gonna go after pants. Like, I'm not really comfortable in that space yet, right? If you think about the generation that Andrea's mom probably came from. So again, typical. We talk a lot about the mother-daughter relationship, how beautiful it is, and also how I often think our daughters are here to challenge us. And as daughters, we challenged our mother. So anyways, I found that funny. And, she talked about how she felt like she had some extra privilege to even, get to that school board and be able to make that presentation at a young age, because her father was pretty well networked. But I'm going to go another direction on that because, there's a common theme that's starting to come through with these conversations. Like, yes, I'm not going to discount that, but it wasn't necessarily 100% like a privilege. It was more proximity, right? Like, we've had several women talk about that they were able to get access to something because somebody in their perimeter, in their sphere of influence, had access. And I am becoming more and more convinced that is not an accident. I mean, I've always felt like that. Like, I believe in synchronicity. I think that we are given everything we need to fulfill our purpose. It is somewhere around you. You just have to keep your eyes open, and you need to be open to it because it might come in weird ways. And so, was it privilege, or was it simply, a higher power ensuring that Andrea would have access to a opportunity like that at a young age to build her confidence, right? I mean, can you imagine like walking away from that at such a young age? So yes, 8th grade. It was in 8th grade that she, quote, testified in front of the Board of Education so girls could wear pants in school. And then if you have an experience like that at that age as a young woman and you don't get destroyed, right? You may or may not succeed, but nobody crushes your soul in that moment. It's going to inspire you. Reverend Denise said the same thing about it in a totally different world, but and more about just that her grandmother, right, knew the shopkeeper for her experience, and that shopkeeper let her proceed with something that ended up being a pivotal moment in her young life, which helped her feel power, for like good power, right? Like productive power. And she held on to that the rest of her life. So, and we've already talked about Malcolm Gladwell's book about, Bill Gates. And one of the reasons he did so well in his career is, once again, he had proximity close to a computer lab. And, but it was more than that. His mother's friend worked in the computer lab, so let him come in after hours. So not only was there a friend that let him come after hours, but his mother was okay with him spending all night in a computer lab because she knew her friend was there, right? So these are not coincidences. These are all breadcrumbs, and every single one of us have those breadcrumbs. Like, I'm going to challenge you, if you're listening to this right now, you're hearing this for a reason. Your breadcrumbs are there. And it is your responsibility to follow them, and don't try to like second guess yourself like, oh, it's just a coincidence, or keep your eyes open, because I am just convinced that your soul makes sure that those stepping stones are in front of you, and then it's your job to actually take them. And Andrea says something like that. She says, this is a quote, "Many people have opportunities and they don't choose to take advantage of them. But if you do, then they create the next opportunity for themselves." So the universe rewards action, right? And yes, we should visualize, and yes, we should manifest, and yes, we should journal and whiteboard and vision board. We should do all of that. But then you need to take action. That's your role in all of this. And you just follow your breadcrumbs one at a time, one stepping stone at a time, with an open heart, listening to your instincts to make sure that it's right for you and it's in alignment. But you have to move. You have to keep moving. And I think a lot has happened in our world for quite a while that has made a lot of people go into their cave or turtle up. And I get it. I've been there, and we have been through a lot. And then you add in our new reality of being bombarded with information and frequencies 24/7, way more than our human body and our human design and our nervous system was built to handle. We weren't built to handle the scrolling, the 8 seconds of 1,000 different pictures or themes, and even worse, right? We do it just before we go to bed. So before you go to bed, you're supposed to be programming your subconscious, right? And instead, someone else is programming your subconscious. Pause for effect there, right? Think about that. You're not controlling what is being fed into your brain before you go to bed. You're scrolling, and whatever that algorithm wants to put into your eyes, into your brain, just before you go to bed and program you, you don't know what's coming up next. So keep that in mind. They talk about making sure you're off all of that a couple hours before bed. A, biologically, because of the blue light. You can go down that rabbit hole. It's really fascinating. But B, because of what you're programming your subconscious before you fall asleep. So sorry, I meandered there a little bit, but I do think that's really important. So Andrea pivoted at a pretty young age, right? So she knew she was an activist, and at that point in the world, like she said, that the main job, if you wanted to be an activist, was you would become a legal services lawyer. So she was, going to go down that path. And once again, she took an opportunity that was not quite that, a community organizer. She, leaves her state and she goes to Tennessee and becomes this community organizer, watches this beautiful thing be built about primary healthcare clinics in the Appalachian and West Tennessee. And, but then she watches them, after being built so amazingly, fail. And they failed because people didn't know how to finance them and manage them. And she picked up on it quick, because as you can tell, she's wicked smart, as they would say in Boston. And she pivoted, and she knew she needed to probably go down the path of business. So I'm going to circle back to that. But here we go again with proximity, because she wasn't really sure her next step, right? But sure, and back then, no internet, nothing like that. But she has a friend who's in Yale Law School, who she happens to speak with, who's like, oh yeah, Andrea, Yale's developing a new program, School of Management, combining business and, society. It could have been like just a little remark that he just said off the top of his head, or, we didn't really go down that path, like if they were having lunch or if it was on their phone or what, but she could have just let that go. She could have just been like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Wow. Okay. And move on. But no, like, she recognized that was a breadcrumb and followed it. So she switched her path, decided to not go down the original plan of law school, and went down instead to pursue her degree in management at Yale. And the rest is history. Thank goodness she did, right? Because, look at all the good she has done in her life. And right now, she's taking that knowledge and, pretty much being a disruptor in the nonprofit world. And this is something that's growing, and I hope it takes root, where a lot of private foundations and a lot of banks and other areas that fund nonprofits are trying to find ways to help in a different way. So, in case you don't know, often they just get a grant. Maybe it's a multi-year grant, and they're just given the money, and it's like, have at it, good luck, and it doesn't often work. And she saw that with the healthcare facilities, right? So everyone's trying to find a new way to build something differently, where it's something more sustainable. It brings in new talent. It brings in more education on how to manage a nonprofit, on how to manage the finances. So it's a pretty cutting edge idea, and a lot of it is shaking out right now. But once again, thank goodness Andrea got involved, because it's people like her that are going to make that happen. And this gets into the financial education that you have to make sure you have. So whatever your walk of life is, as you're listening to this, whatever your age, whatever your background, if you have not had the opportunity to get some financial education, you need to get it ASAP. This is not optional. To stay sovereign, to stay independent, anyone, especially a woman though, you have to understand your personal finances. You have to start there, right? And I know I speak to a lot of women who are very successful in a lot of different areas, but they're embarrassed to mention that maybe the finance is not that area, and they don't even start because they're embarrassed about that first step of reaching out to a financial advisor or taking some course to get caught up on all that, because they don't, they might be this brilliant business person or this brilliant attorney or brilliant doctor, and they think that they're supposed to know everything about everything, including finances. Well, hey, listen, if you weren't taught that in school when you were young or by your parents, how were you supposed to learn that? The thing is, though, you don't have an excuse anymore because there's so much online, right? There is so much online. And I really urge you, if you're listening to this, maybe this is for you, but to take a moment and dig in and get your own personal finances in order. Okay, so that's my little soapbox on that, because as women, we have to get our finances in order for now and the future. You never know what's going to happen to your partner or your children or whatever, and you have to be able to stay sovereign, because the fastest way to not be sovereign is if you cannot financially support yourself. It's the number one thing. And on a different note, I've seen this a lot too. What Andrea experienced when she saw this beautiful project be built up to help people, and then it ended up falling down because the financial education wasn't there and the management education wasn't there. I see that a lot. I see that a lot in my business. About 7 years ago, when I started my company, I went out on my own for consulting. Somehow I started finding myself in turnaround situations where I had to come in and help companies that were once really strong, and then something happened. They just went through a major transition and things weren't going so well. So I get brought in to sort that all out on every level, from the financial to the operations to whatever. And I have a great success rate. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because of what I'm about to say next. But what happens is, after I leave, it falls down. And it's not because I'm like this great CFO or anything. It's, once again, if the leadership that remains is not trained and educated on management and on finances, it's going to fall down the same hole. And it got very discouraging for me too. So I understand why Andrea pivoted out of law school, or decided to not go down the law path and went there, because when you see it, like, and it's like, it's so possible to be able to, fix this company. They just, have to get a little more training in XYZ. So I could relate when she said that, and to never underestimate the power of, when they say, like, you can either give someone a fish or teach them to fish. We have to really be educating our leaders, our young women coming up on the financial independence and financial education. It's just so critical. It's not optional, because we don't want to slip backwards. So please tell me, if you saw me, please tell me that you have that, somewhat under control, and you're working with someone. And please stop pretending or thinking you have to pretend that you know everything about everything. You're not supposed to, right? Like, if you weren't taught it, you weren't taught it. So I'm also going to get off that soapbox. So Andrea talks about a personal brand. And she said that she had a very simple brand. She does what she says. People know they can rely on her, and then they reciprocate in other ways. I don't know if people realize how powerful that is. There's not, which is a little sad that there's so many people that are unreliable, that that reliability has become such a critical piece of the puzzle right now. But she knew her brand young. I mean, let's face it, she was blessed with knowing her purpose young, and was able to kind of stay on that path. And then she just knew who she was personally, right? And that she's going to do what she says she's going to do. And then people can trust her and people can rely on her. So I think with that, let's not lose that, right? Like, there's a lot of things changing in the world, but let's not let that slip. Let's just keep making that a priority and something that we all value, that when people say they're going to do something and they do it, that becomes the expectation again and not unusual. She talks about one of the most powerful forces of her life and career had been the networks that she developed over time. And I 100% agree with that. You know, it's so important just to build your network over your career. Like, you know, start as soon as possible. And, you know, it's not complicated. It's really just getting to know the people around you in your field, being good to them, you know, helping them if they need help, and learning from them. And, you know, keep your network strong, because it's a lot harder to do things alone than with a network. And, you know, the power of what a group can get done compared to an individual, there's so many sayings about that, right? But I think we all agree it's very true. And Andrea says, one of her quotes, you see what the impact is when you collaborate versus when you just do it yourself. So important. It is so important to build your network over time. And again, the opportunities will present themselves. If you're not sure how to do it, I promise you they will present themselves. You start with your immediate perimeter and who's near you, and you get to know them and everything they do. You take that give to get spirit where you're helping people before you're really expecting any help back, and you be a rock star, right? And you do what you say you're gonna do, and then you let your career blossom, and you let the path open to you, and you get to your purpose. And then once you know your purpose, you hold on to your purpose. And like we talk about in the podcast, you don't always get there right out of the gate. It doesn't always happen when you're young. It may happen further along in your career. And listen, you're not late. That's my number one thing I can say to you. Don't get caught up in this lie of time that Reverend Denise mentioned in the other podcast. You're not late. You are exactly where you're supposed to be at this exact time on your path. And if you keep connecting to your purpose, and whether you even are 100% sure of what your purpose is, even if you're just stating your intention every day that you are either looking for your purpose or you want to know your purpose more, and that you are fully aligned with your purpose, it will come to you, right? You are a magnetic being, and it will come to you. And I'll tell you, one of the ways you'll know it is your purpose is it won't feel like a job. And it'll bring you joy and fulfillment. And you know that feeling of right action when, I don't know, you made some moves that day and it felt like the majority of them were in the right direction. That's that feeling of contentment and peace in your soul, because you are moving in the direction of your purpose. I say this a lot, I'm going to say it again. We need everyone in their purpose. We especially need strong, powerful female leaders connected to their purpose and then making moves. Because we need more strong women good women in leadership and the ones that are in leadership to not leave. So we need to make it work for them too. And if you are one of those women and you're listening, I support you. We support you. That's what this podcast is about, to give you something to listen to about other women and what shaped other powerful women and what shaped them and where they took it. But then you find your own. Like, you need to find your own purpose, and that shouldn't cause stress to you. That should cause excitement to you. Like, there's a buzz when you are swimming in the right swim lane, right? And if you haven't felt it yet, you're gonna feel it. You're in the right place, right? Because you're listening to the right podcast if you're here. So switching gears a little bit, Andrea talked about mentors, and she was blessed to have quite a few mentors, whether they are formal or informal. And I will keep talking about that too. It's not just about getting assigned a mentor at a company or something like that. Once again, there will be people put into your world that would be good for you to take advice from. And like she said, if you go with an open mind and you're not intimidated by someone that might know more than you, and you don't judge yourself, like, that's the whole point of a mentor-mentee relationship, is you have found someone that figured something out that you want to figure out. And so, yeah, you open your mind, you open your heart, and you see their wisdom and their experience as a gift, and you learn from that. And then I'll tell you, if you find a mentor that resonates with you, take care of them, because they will be priceless for you. When you are at crossroads and you can pick up that phone or text or shoot an email, like, hey, do you have a few minutes to talk? I'm at a crossroads, and they pick up. Like, that's the mentor you're looking for, where it can save you a lot of heartbreak and a lot of stress. And it's also, I just think, such a beautiful relationship. It's just, when you have somebody rooting for your success, that might be able to see things that you can't see. I say that a lot, where, and this is it's for everyone, but it's definitely for ambitious, powerful women. Make sure you have 1 to 2 people in your life, kind of your true norths, that you trust implicitly, that is not a yes person. That you need someone in your life who comes up to you and can say, without worrying about, like, you never talking to them again, like, what are you doing? Right? Like, you need to take a pause, because as powerful women, we can charge down the wrong path fast, right? Because a lot of things will want your time, a lot of things will want your energy, and a lot of it is exciting, but you may get off your path, and you got to give that access to at least one person in your life. It could be your spouse, it could be your child, it could be a friend, it could be a mentor, it doesn't matter. But that one person that, if they come to you and say that you're going off the rails a little bit, you will stop and listen. You won't just file it away, as a criticism or critique, but you will stop what you're doing, because you have given that access to this person, because you trust them implicitly. You know that they're there for your own good, and you know that they have wisdom. So I highly encourage you find somebody like that in your life, and you're open to their feedback, and don't surround yourself with a bunch of yes people. I see it so many times in senior leadership, and I see how the leader stops developing because they built an echo chamber around them, and the board of directors let them build an echo chamber around them. I know there's a whole nother project around board service and really helping board members understand what their role is, but I've seen it over and over and over again, where if there's not somebody that's keeping an eye on things, a senior leader will create an echo chamber, whether they mean to or not. And some of them mean to. They want their kingdom or their queendom, and that's one thing. But I guess I'm more talking to the people that didn't mean to. They did it on accident. I had a great mentor. I've had many great mentors. I'm going to tell a story about one where I was, leading an organization, and I hired somebody, and she was a rock star, like right out of the gate. She was so extremely successful at what we did, but she was really challenging me as a leader, and she was challenging me as, on the operational side, like what the rules were and how many meetings we were going to have and this and that. And I had the authority just to let her go. And, I spent a lot of nights thinking it through, because it was a little disruptive. It wasn't just disruptive for me. It was disrupting the whole team, and it was starting to affect morale. And I remember calling my mentor. And again, what I said, that mentor that you can text and say, do you just have a few minutes? I got to fly something by you before I do something stupid. And I spoke with them, and I told them, I think I'm going to let her go, because, it's just too disruptive. She's amazing. She's a pace setter on every front. But the way she's challenging me and my leadership, I'm not sure I want to do it anymore. And he had a nice pause, and he was very supportive, and he's like, yes, you absolutely can. That is in your right. He's like, or, and I always loved his or, you cannot let her go, and you can see how it helps you develop as a leader. And I can even feel that in my body when I say it now, because that was a moment for me. That was definitely a moment that started to define me as a leader. It's funny, I ask the women a lot, what was that moment? That was definitely a moment for me. And I knew what I had to do at that point, and I didn't let her go. I worked harder. I found new ways to connect with her, and because she was an amazing person. Like she wasn't that negative person or anything. That's not what I'm saying. It was more, she was a disruptor, right? She was a disruptor. She was trying to disrupt the status quo. I was trying to protect the status quo, and we had to find a middle ground. And I did, and we did, and we ended up having the strongest team that company has ever seen. It changed me as a leader, and we are friends to this day. So the power of a mentor, and that was because he knew me. He knew me, he knew my style, he knew my ambition, he knew I wanted to keep growing as a leader. And I don't even think he had ever met this other person, but he did know me. And that was a choice I made. And thank goodness he said that. And what was that, a 3-minute phone call, right? I can actually remember I was in a parking ramp deciding if I was walking in to let her go. Find a mentor. They are around you, I promise you. Be humble, be open to feedback, and then just watch your career fly. I mean, it could be a woman, it can be a man, it doesn't really matter. It can be somebody in your industry or not in your industry. That doesn't even matter. And sometimes it's good to get somebody completely outside of your industry, who is also, though, very successful in their own right, because you have zero competition and you have zero worry about any of that. So I don't know if they make women like Andrea anymore. She's like, if you look at your background, it's one of those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I need to do more. Like, how did she do all this? And she's an interesting combination of maverick and compliance. Like she's talked about, she shared her health journey, which I really appreciate her vulnerability with that. And that she has fought and beat cancer, and that is a scary, scary journey, but she's so strong. I mean, cancer probably didn't have a chance at her, but And like she said, I just did what they told me. I knew they were the experts, and I'm going to do what they say. So I think she has a lot of guardian angels watching over her, because there's a lot more for her to do here. And we need her to stick around. So she's got that going for her. But she's an amazing woman. What a fighter. What a mentor. She didn't even hesitate. Like when I asked her if I could interview her, again, women supporting women, really just amazing. And 2 more things and then I'll wrap up. So her book club, right? I don't know if you've ever been in a book club. I have. And I know what she meant by, we actually talk about the book. A lot of times, and by the way, all book clubs are good. I'm not knocking any of them. I think there's different styles. Some book clubs are called a book club, and there is a book you read, but it's really more of a social gathering, and the conversation can go into a lot of different things, including like personal lives and everything. And then there's some book clubs which are, just about that book, and it's a little more, structured. I don't know exactly how Andrea's book club is, but it does sound like it revolves around that book club. But even just knowing that she started a book club that's been going on for 30 years, right? I don't know what that says about her, but that says something to me about her and her friends and her circle and her network. And those people in her book club are so blessed to have access to her like that. I miss having access to her like that in my board meetings. So who knows? Maybe I can get her to start a podcast. Maybe that's what she should do. And just to wrap up, one of the things she said at the end, which really hit me pretty hard, and I think about this a lot as a mom. She said when she looks back at how she was able to do what she did, she's changing her narrative around that a little bit, where and I think we all feel this, she's very aware that she was one of those, her family was blessed to not have significant health issues or learning disabilities. And I did want to mention that for a minute, because there are a lot of women and moms and families that are experiencing that. And they have that on top of the stressors of the world that everyone else has. And I think it's really important that if you are someone like that who's juggling that extra challenge, to cut yourself some slack. And that's what she said too, right? You give yourself some grace, because you have a big mission there too. So you may be one of the lucky ones that have multiple big purposes and big missions, and one is right within the walls of your home. And don't beat yourself up on if other things you have to pull back on, or you have to shuffle your priorities, because everything happens for a reason. And I'm asking you, I guess, to take some pressure off yourself. And if you are part of the circle that did not have to experience that, to just take a moment of gratitude, right? And know that you were one of the lucky ones. And then if we know people in our circle that do juggle that, in addition with all the other stressors of life, to give them more grace, to offer a hand, even just send them some love, whatever it is. And just, every morning, every night, be thankful for what you have. Because there's a lot of people out there that have it a lot worse. So in typical fashion, I could go on and on and on, but you're probably getting tired. I don't know if you're listening, how you listen to this podcast, if it's before bed or driving to work or whatever, but I'm going to wrap it up here. I am so thankful that Andrea Levere was able to spend time with us, and I'm so thankful that she's in the world making the moves that she's making. I can't wait to see what she does with Capitalize Good. And what she's going to teach the world about, this new way of supporting and funding nonprofits. I have a feeling this is one of her purposes, and she's going to teach other people and companies how to do it successfully. Well, thank you for being here with me, for listening to my reflections, and I hope to see you at the next interview. And until then, stay strong, stay yourself, stay grateful, and remember to define yourself before someone else does. I'll see you next time.